The alarm screamed through the small ship, making Kang Day jump from his seat. He had been eating cold noodles and watching old Earth movies when the sensors picked up something unusual. Now, red lights flashed across every screen in the tiny cockpit. "Bo, what is it?" Day asked, wiping his hands on his worn jacket. The AI's voice filled the cabin, soft and familiar like his sister's had been before she died. "Distress beacon detected. Origin unknown. Distance, 40,000 kilometers." Day looked at the main screen. A small blip pulsed in the dark space near a dying star. The star was old and angry, throwing massive flares into space like a child having a tantrum. No sane pilot would go near it. "Show me details," he said. Numbers filled his screen. The beacon was weak, almost dead. Whatever was out there didn't have much time. The object was caught in the star's gravity, slowly being pulled closer to its burning surface. Day scratched his chin. He needed to think about this carefully. His ship, the Wandering Star, was small and old. It carried enough fuel for maybe 3 more jumps. He had salvage contracts waiting, good money, safe money. But someone was dying out there. "Calculate rescue approach," he told Bo. "Day, this is dangerous," the AI responded. "Solar activity is extreme. We could lose the ship." "I know. Calculate it anyway." Bo went silent for a moment, running the numbers. "Possible. But fuel reserves will drop to critical levels. We won't reach the next station without refueling." Day stood up and walked to the window. Space stretched out before him, dark and endless. That dying star glowed red in the distance, angry and beautiful. Somewhere near it, someone was waiting to die. He had been that person once, alone, scared, waiting for help that almost didn't come. "Plot the course," he said quietly. The ship turned, engines humming as they fired up. Day strapped himself into the pilot's seat and gripped the controls. The Wandering Star wasn't fast, but she was tough. He had rebuilt her himself after buying the wreck for almost nothing. As they got closer, the temperature inside the cabin started rising. The star's radiation battered against their shields. Warnings popped up across every screen. Day ignored most of them. He had flown through worse. Maybe. "Object identified," Bo announced. "It's an escape pod. Design unknown. Not human." Day's heart beat faster. An alien ship. He had dealt with other species before, mostly in trading posts and stations. But finding one out here alone, that was different. "Life signs?" he asked. "Faint. 1 occupant. Life support is failing." The star threw another flare and the ship shook. Day fought with the controls, keeping them steady. Sweat ran down his face. The cockpit felt like an oven. "Come on, baby," he whispered to his ship. "Just a little closer." The escape pod came into view. It was beautiful, even damaged. Smooth silver metal covered in strange symbols that glowed faintly blue. But one side was scorched black, and it tumbled slowly through space, out of control. Day brought the Wandering Star alongside it. His hands moved fast across the controls, matching the pod's rotation. This was the hard part. One mistake, and they would both be pulled into the star. "Magnetic clamps ready," Bo said. "Do it." Metal clanged against metal. The pod shook but held. Day fired the engines hard, pulling them away from the star's gravity. The ship groaned and complained. Warning lights screamed. But slowly, painfully, they began to move away. 10 minutes later, they were safe. Day slumped in his seat, exhausted. His shirt was soaked with sweat. "Get that pod into the cargo bay," he said, "and prep the medical bay." "Day, we don't know what's inside. It could be dangerous." "It's dying, Bo." "Dangerous or not, I'm not letting anyone die if I can help it." The pod slid into the cargo bay with a heavy thunk. Day grabbed his toolkit and ran down the narrow hallway. The bay was cold compared to the cockpit. He approached the pod carefully. Up close, it was even more impressive. The metal was smooth like glass, and those blue symbols seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. He found what looked like a control panel and pressed his hand against it. Nothing happened. "Bo, help me open this thing." "Working on it. The design is completely foreign. Give me a moment." Day paced back and forth, checking his tools. Inside that pod, someone was dying. Every second counted. Finally, with a soft hiss, the pod opened. White mist poured out, and Day waved it away. When it cleared, he froze. She was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, and also the strangest. Her skin looked like it was made of crystal, shifting between purple and blue colors. She had 2 arms and 2 legs like a human, but her fingers were longer, more delicate. Her face was similar to a human woman's, but her eyes were larger, and her hair seemed to float around her head like she was underwater. She wasn't breathing. "Medical bay." "Now!" Day shouted. He carefully lifted her from the pod. She was lighter than he expected, and her skin was cold. Too cold. He ran through the ship, holding her like she was made of glass. The medical bay was small, meant for human injuries, nothing serious. He laid her on the table and stared at the equipment. How was he supposed to save an alien when he didn't know anything about her biology? "Bo, scanner, tell me what's wrong." "Respiratory system is failing. She needs oxygen, but not like we do. Her blood chemistry is different." "Day, I don't know how to help her." Day looked at the alien woman. Even unconscious, even dying, she had a peaceful expression. She wore clothing that looked like it was woven from light itself. Royal, he thought. She looked royal. He rolled up his sleeves. "Then we figure it out. Show me her vital signs, all of them." For the next 6 hours, Day worked without stopping. He tried everything. He adjusted oxygen levels, tested different gas mixtures, monitored her reactions. When one thing didn't work, he tried another. He used human medicine and his own understanding of biology, adapting and guessing and hoping. Bo fed him information constantly. They worked together, human and AI, trying to solve a puzzle they didn't understand. Finally, as Day was ready to give up, the alien woman's chest moved, just a little, then again. "She's breathing," Bo said, sounding surprised. Day collapsed into a chair, his hands shaking. "Keep monitoring her. Tell me if anything changes." He watched her chest rise and fall. Her skin started to change color, from dark blue to lighter purple. That seemed good. That seemed like she was getting better. The crystal-skinned woman's eyes opened slowly. They were golden like honey in sunlight. She looked at him with confusion and fear. "It's okay," Day said softly, holding up his hands. "You're safe now. I'm Day. I'm here to help." She didn't understand his words, but something in his voice must have calmed her. She relaxed slightly, still watching him carefully. He smiled tiredly. "Welcome aboard the Wandering Star." Outside, the dying star continued to burn, but inside the small ship, a life had been saved. Day didn't know it yet, but this moment would change everything. 3 days had passed since Day pulled the alien woman from her dying escape pod. 3 strange, interesting days. Her name was Hana. At least that's what it sounded like when she said it. She had learned to speak a little bit of human language, and Day had learned a few words of hers. They communicated mostly through gestures and Bo's translation program, which was slowly figuring out her language. Day discovered that Hana's skin changed colors with her emotions. Purple meant she was calm. Blue meant she was sad or worried. Once, when he made her laugh with a silly magic trick, her skin flashed bright gold. She was curious about everything on his ship. She touched the old metal walls with wonder, like they were made of treasure. She watched him eat human food with fascination. She especially loved when Bo played music. She would sit for hours, eyes closed, skin shifting through rainbow colors as different songs played. "You're a princess. Day said one evening, watching her examine a broken piece of machinery. Bo had finally translated enough to learn the truth. Hana nodded, not looking up. Yes, Princess of Valir Empire. And you were attacked? Her skin turned dark blue, almost black. Yes, bad people. They killed everyone, my guards, my teachers, my friends. She touched her chest. Only me survived. Then you found me. I'm sorry, Day said softly. She looked at him with those golden eyes. You saved my life. My people will want to thank you. Day shifted uncomfortably. He didn't want thanks. He just wanted to make sure she got home safely, then get back to his salvage work. You don't need to thank me. Anyone would have done the same. Hana's skin flashed with golden spots. No, not anyone. You risked your ship, your life. Bo told me about the fuel. You have barely enough to reach the next station now. Day glared at the ceiling. Bo talks too much. I am simply being accurate, the AI responded, sounding amused. Hana reached out and touched Day's hand. Her skin was warm now, not cold like when he first found her. You are a good person, Kang Day. My mother will want to reward you. Your mother? Empress Yura, Queen of Valir Empire. Day pulled his hand back. Your mother is an empress? Like ruler of planets, empress? Ruler of 73 planets, Hana said proudly. Day felt his stomach drop. He had saved the daughter of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. This was bad. This was very bad. Powerful people were dangerous. They had long memories and longer reach. I need to contact my people, Hana said. May I use your communication system? What could he say? No? He nodded. Hana sent her message that night. It was short, just telling her people that she was alive and safe on a human ship. She gave their location and asked for pickup. Day couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about what was coming. Empires didn't just say thank you. They wanted things. They demanded things. He was just a salvage ship captain. He didn't want to get involved with imperial politics. The Valir fleet arrived 2 days later. Day was eating breakfast when Bo's voice filled the ship. Multiple vessels entering the system. Configuration unknown. Count, 27 ships. Day choked on his coffee. 27? The main screen showed them. They were beautiful and terrifying. Each ship was massive, built from the same silver metal as Hana's escape pod. They moved through space like hunting birds, graceful and deadly. Day, Hana said, coming into the cockpit. She wore one of his old shirts because her royal clothing had been damaged. Even in human clothing, she looked regal. My people are here. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid, Day lied. I'm just concerned. The largest ship moved toward them. It was 10 times bigger than any ship Day had ever seen. Lights glowed along its surface, and strange weapons bristled from every angle. Incoming communication, Bo announced. A face appeared on the screen. It was a Valir male, with dark green crystalline skin and hard silver eyes. He wore armor that looked like liquid metal. Human vessel, the Valir said in perfect human language. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with force. Commander Tay, Hana said sharply, this human saved my life. You will show respect. The Valir's expression didn't change, but Day saw his skin darken slightly. Yes, Princess, the Empress has ordered your immediate return. The human will accompany you. Wait, Day said. I don't need to go anywhere. I'll just hand over the princess and be on my way. Commander Tay stared at him. The Empress wishes to thank you personally. It is not a request. The screen went black. Day looked at Hana. Can I say no? She touched his shoulder, her skin turning sympathetic blue. I am sorry, Day. When my mother makes a decision, nothing changes her mind. But don't worry. She just wants to thank you. Then you can go home. Day wasn't so sure about that. An hour later, Day watched as Valir soldiers entered his ship. They were polite but firm. They treated Hana with deep respect, kneeling when they saw her. They treated Day with suspicion, like he might be dangerous. Commander Tay came last. He looked around the wandering star with obvious disgust. "This vessel saved the princess?" "This vessel is my home," Day said coldly. "And yes, it saved her when your big fancy ships weren't there." Tay's skin flashed angry red for a moment, but he said nothing. Instead, he nodded to his soldiers. "Bring the human. The Empress is waiting." They took Day to the flagship. It was called the Eternal Dawn, and it was like walking into a dream. Everything was beautiful. The walls seemed to glow with inner light. The floors were smooth like mirrors. Valir people moved through the corridors, all of them with crystalline skin in different colors. Day felt very small and very human. They brought him to a massive chamber. It was empty except for a throne at the far end. The throne looked like it was carved from a single piece of diamond, and sitting on it was the most impressive person Day had ever seen. Empress Yura looked like Hana, but older and somehow more intense. Her skin was pure white crystal that reflected rainbow colors. Her eyes were the color of deep space. She wore robes that seemed to be made from starlight itself. When she looked at Day, he felt like she could see everything about him. Every thought, every secret. "Mother," Hana said, running forward. She knelt before the throne. Yura's expression broke. She stood and pulled her daughter into a tight embrace. For a moment, she was just a mother who had thought her child was dead. Her skin cycled through every color, emotions too strong to hide. Then she looked at Day. "You are Kang Day," she said. Her voice was like music, but also like thunder. "You saved my daughter." Day bowed, unsure what else to do. "I did what anyone would do, Your Majesty." "No," Yura said, walking down from her throne. She moved like water flowing. "My intelligence reports say you risked your ship. You used nearly all your fuel. You had no idea what species my daughter was, yet you spent 6 hours keeping her alive with primitive equipment." "My equipment isn't that primitive," Day muttered. Yura actually smiled. "You have courage and skill, and you care for life, even alien life. These are rare qualities." "I just did the right thing." "Exactly," Yura said. She circled him slowly, examining him like he was a rare artifact. "You did the right thing when it cost you dearly. This is why you will come with us to the Valir homeworld." Day's heart sank. "Your Majesty, I appreciate the offer, but I have work, contracts, people depending on me." "Your contracts will be compensated, generously." Yura waved her hand, dismissing his concerns like they were nothing. "You will be my honored guest. I wish to reward you properly." "I don't need rewards," Day said desperately. "Just let me go home." Yura's expression hardened. Her skin turned cold silver. "I am Empress of the Valir Empire. When I offer gratitude, it is not refused. You will come to my world. You will be honored. This is decided." Day looked at Hana, silently asking for help. She looked away, her skin guilty purple. "Your ship will be brought aboard," Yura continued. "You will have comfortable quarters, and in one cycle we will arrive at Valir Prime. There, you will see what it means to earn the gratitude of an empire." She turned and walked back to her throne. "Commander Tay, see that our guest has everything he needs." It wasn't gratitude, Day realized as soldiers escorted him away. It was a command. He wasn't a guest. He was a prisoner. Valir Prime was the most beautiful planet Day had ever seen. The ship descended through pink clouds toward a city that looked like it had been grown instead of built. Towers spiraled into the sky, made from crystal that caught the light and threw rainbows everywhere. Gardens floated in the air between buildings. Rivers of pure water flowed upward, defying gravity. "Impressive, is it not?" Hana asked. She stood beside him at the window, watching her home world grow closer. It's something, Day admitted. Beautiful, yes, but also alien, cold. Perfect in a way that made him uncomfortable. They landed in the royal palace, which sat at the city's heart like a diamond crown. Servants rushed forward as the ship's doors opened. They all had the same crystalline skin as Hana and Yura, but their colors were muted, less bright. Dai was led through halls that seemed to go on forever. Every surface gleamed. Every decoration was priceless. He passed rooms filled with treasures from 1,000 worlds. He saw gardens where plants from different galaxies grew side by side. Finally, they brought him to his quarters. "This is a guest room?" Day asked, staring. The space was bigger than his entire ship. The bed looked like it was carved from a single pearl. The windows showed a view of the city that took his breath away. There was a bath big enough to swim in. The closet was filled with clothes in his size, made from fabrics he couldn't name. "The Empress wants you to be comfortable," the servant said. Their skin was pale yellow, and they wouldn't meet his eyes. After they left, Day explored the room. It was perfect. Too perfect. He found devices he didn't recognize, furniture that adjusted to his body automatically, food that appeared when he thought about being hungry. It was a cage made of gold and crystal. "Bo, you there?" he asked the empty air. "Always," the AI responded. The Velier had allowed her to connect to the palace systems. "How are you feeling?" "Like a bird in a very expensive cage," Day said. He sat on the bed, which was softer than clouds. "I want to go home." "I have been monitoring palace communications," Bo said quietly. "Empress Yura has canceled all your contracts. She has paid them 3 times what they were worth. She has also declared you a friend of the Empire, which is apparently a very rare honor." "Great. Can a friend of the Empire leave?" Bo was silent for a moment. "I don't think so, Day." The days that followed proved Bo right. Day was given everything he could want except freedom. He had servants who brought him food. He had guards who followed him everywhere, supposedly for his protection. He had tutors who taught him about Valir history and culture. He was invited to banquets where important people stared at him like he was a zoo animal. "Tell us again how you saved the princess," they would say. "With such primitive equipment. How very clever." They meant it as a compliment, but it felt like an insult. Hana visited him often. She seemed genuinely happy to see him, her skin glowing warm gold when they talked. She taught him more of her language. She showed him how to eat Valir food without making a mess. She told him stories about her childhood in the palace. "Why won't your mother let me leave?" Day asked her one day. They sat in one of the floating gardens, surrounded by flowers that sang when touched. Hana's skin turned sad blue. "My mother, she has lost much. My father died when I was young. Many of her advisors betrayed her. She has learned to trust very few people. But she doesn't know me. She knows you saved me when you had no reason to. She knows you risked everything for a stranger." Hana picked a singing flower and held it gently. To her, that makes you more trustworthy than anyone in her court. She wants to keep you close, to keep me safe. "I'm not a guard," Day said. "I'm a salvage ship captain. I belong in space, not in a palace." "I know," Hana whispered. "I am sorry, Day. I will talk to her." But talking did no good. That night, Day met someone who understood his situation. He couldn't sleep, so he wandered the palace halls. The guards followed at a distance, but didn't stop him. He found himself in the servant quarters, which were much simpler than the guest areas. A young man was sitting in a small courtyard, looking up at the stars. He looked human. "You're allowed to be here?" the man asked in surprise. "I can go anywhere except out the front door," Day said bitterly. He sat down beside the stranger. "I'm Day." "Woo," the man said. He was maybe 25, with tired eyes and calloused hands. You're the one who saved the princess. Everyone's talking about you. You're human, Day said. How long have you been here? 8 years. Day felt cold. 8 years? Why haven't you left? Wu laughed, but there was no humor in it. Because the Empress doesn't let her treasures go. You see, I'm a musician. I play the violin. 8 years ago, I performed at a trade station. The Empress heard me. She liked my music. She brought me here to play for her court. And you stayed? Not by choice. Wu looked at the stars with longing. She pays me well, treats me kindly, gives me everything I need, except the one thing I want. Freedom. I'm her pet musician, just like you'll be her pet hero. Day's hands clenched into fists. I won't stay here for 8 years. Everyone says that at first, Wu said. But what can you do? She's an empress. She controls this entire sector of space. If you run, where will you go? And even if you escape, she'll find you. She always finds the things she collects. There has to be a way out. Wu stood up, stretching. Maybe, but I haven't found it. Good luck, Day. You'll need it. After Wu left, Day sat alone in the courtyard for hours, thinking, planning. There had to be a way out. He just had to find it. The next morning, Lady Yun requested to meet with him. She was one of the Empress's chief advisors, with skin the color of frozen water and eyes that saw everything. She met Day in a private office overlooking the city. Kang Day, she said, her voice like ice. We should talk. About what? About your future. She walked to the window, hands clasped behind her back. The Empress has become very fond of you. This is a problem. I don't want her to be fond of me, Day said. I want to go home. And I want you to go, Lady Yun said, surprising him. You are an outsider. You have no understanding of our politics, our ways. Yet the Empress listens to you. The princess adores you. This gives you influence you have not earned. I don't want influence. Nevertheless, you have it. She turned to face him, her skin darkening with anger. You are a disruption, a variable I cannot control. I have served the Empress for 30 years. I have guided this empire through wars and crises, and now a human salvager threatens to undo everything because he happened to save the princess. I didn't ask for any of this. I know. Lady Yun's expression softened slightly. Which is why I am giving you a warning. Powerful people in this court see you as a threat. Some might try to remove you. If you are wise, you will convince the Empress to let you go before that happens. I've tried. She won't listen. Then try harder. Lady Yun walked to the door, then paused. Or learn to navigate palace politics very quickly. Because if you cannot do either, you will not survive here. After she left, Day sat in the office feeling overwhelmed. He was trapped in a beautiful prison, surrounded by people who either adored him or hated him. The Empress wouldn't let him leave. Her advisors wanted him gone. And somewhere in the middle was Hana, who seemed to be the only one who understood how he felt. That evening, Day requested a meeting with Empress Yura. She received him in her private garden, a place of impossible beauty where water flowed upward and trees grew with leaves made of light. Kang Day, she said warmly, I am pleased you wanted to see me. Are you enjoying your time here? Your Majesty, Day said, bowing, I'm grateful for everything you've done, but I need to ask you again to let me leave. Yura's skin turned cold silver. We have discussed this. I know. But I don't belong here. I'm not a courtier or a noble. I'm a spacer. The void is my home. The void is dangerous, Yura said sharply. Look what happened to my daughter, attacked, nearly killed. Only random chance brought her to you. And I was happy to help, but that doesn't mean I should spend the rest of my life in your palace. Yura stood and walked toward him. Despite himself, Day took a step back. She was tall and powerful, and her presence filled the garden like a storm. "You do not understand," she said quietly. "In my life, I have learned that most people cannot be trusted. They lie, they betray, they put their own desires above duty. But you, Kang Day, you risked everything for a stranger. You asked for nothing in return. You are rare, precious. I'm not a treasure to be collected." "No," Yura agreed. "You are something more valuable. You are someone I can trust with my daughter's life. And that is why you will stay." Day felt his heart sink. This wasn't about gratitude. This was about control. About a mother so afraid of losing her daughter again that she would imprison anyone who might keep her safe. "What if I promise to come when you call?" Day asked desperately. "What if I give you my word that if Hana needs me, I'll be there?" Words are easy to break. Not mine. Yura studied him for a long moment. Then she shook her head. "No, I cannot risk it. You will stay here. In time, you will understand. This is for the best." She walked away, leaving Day alone in the garden. He looked up at the alien sky, at stars he couldn't name, and felt more trapped than he ever had in his life. The alarm woke Day from a restless sleep. He had been at the palace for 2 months now, and every day felt the same. Endless luxury, endless boredom, endless guards following him everywhere. He was losing himself in the golden cage. But this alarm was different. It wasn't the soft chimes that usually announced breakfast or a scheduled event. This was urgent, harsh, cutting through the palace like a scream. Day rushed to his window. Below, in the city, something was wrong. People were running. Ships were taking off in panic. And there was smoke rising from the lower districts, dark and ugly against the pink sky. "Bo, what's happening?" he asked. "Unknown," the AI responded. "Palace systems are locked down. I'm trying to access information." His door burst open. Commander Tay stood there with a squad of guards. "Come with us. Now." "What's going on?" "The city is under quarantine. A plague has broken out in the lower districts. It's spreading fast." They rushed through the palace halls. Everywhere people were panicking. Servants ran with supplies. Nobles gathered in worried groups. The calm, perfect order of the palace had shattered. They brought Day to the throne room. Empress Yura sat on her throne, surrounded by advisors. Her skin was dark with stress. Hana stood beside her, looking frightened. "The situation is critical," Lady Yun was saying. Her usually cold demeanor had cracked. 3 million people infected already. Our medicine doesn't work. The plague is spreading faster than we can contain it." "What about the outer districts?" Yura asked. "We can quarantine them," Lady Yun said quietly. "Seal them off. It would save the rest of the city." "That would kill everyone inside," Hana said, horrified. "It would save 10 times as many," Lady Yun responded. "Sometimes, Empress, we must make difficult choices." Day pushed forward through the crowd. "What kind of plague?" Everyone turned to stare at him. Lady Yun's skin flashed angry red. "This is a council meeting. You have no place here." "The humans saved my daughter," Yura said tiredly. "Let him speak." Day approached the throne. "What are the symptoms?" A Valir doctor stepped forward. Her skin was medical white. "High fever, respiratory failure, crystalline decay." She showed him images on a holographic display. Valir people with skin that had turned black and cracked like broken glass. Day studied the images carefully. Something about them was familiar. "How long from infection to death?" 3 days. "And you've tried all your medicine?" "Everything in our database," the doctor said. "Nothing works. We've never seen this disease before." Day's mind raced. He had seen something like this before, years ago on a salvage mission in the outer colonies. A human settlement had been hit by a plague with similar symptoms. Not the same, but similar. "I might be able to help," he said. The room went silent. Then everyone started talking at once. "A human cannot solve what our best doctors cannot," Lady Yoon said. "Our medicine is centuries ahead of human science," another advisor added. "We should focus on containment, not impossible cures," a third said. "Quiet." Yura's voice cut through the noise like a blade. She stood and walked down to Day. "Explain." "I'm not a doctor," Day said carefully, "but I've traveled to a lot of places, seen a lot of things. Humans, we get sick a lot. We've had to learn how to fight diseases because we're not as strong as other species, and I've seen a plague like this before. It killed a lot of humans, but we found a cure." "The biology is completely different," the doctor protested. "What works on humans won't work on Velir." "Maybe not exactly," Day agreed, "but the principle might. Sometimes the best cure isn't the most advanced one. Sometimes it's about trying different approaches." Yura studied him with those deep space eyes. "What would you need?" "Access to your medical facilities. A good Velir doctor who's willing to listen to crazy human ideas. And time." "We don't have much time," Yura said. "Every hour thousands more get infected." "Then we better start now." Yura looked at Lady Yoon, who clearly hated the idea. Then she looked at Hana, who nodded encouragingly. "Do it," the Empress said. "But if you fail, the consequences will be severe." They brought Day to the largest medical facility in the city. It was chaos. Sick people filled every bed. Doctors rushed around, trying treatments that didn't work. The air smelled of fear and death. Day met his partner, a Velir scientist named Da Rim. She had pale green skin and skeptical eyes. "I am doing this because the Empress commands it," she said coldly. "Not because I believe a human can help." "Fair enough," Day said. "Show me everything you know about the plague." They worked through the night. Dayrim explained Velir biology, how their crystalline cells worked, how their immune systems functioned. Day asked 1,000 questions. He made connections that seemed crazy. He suggested treatments that made Dayrim laugh. "That would never work," she said when he proposed mixing human antibiotics with Velir medicine. "Why not?" Because it just wouldn't. The biology is too different." "Have you tried it?" Dayrim paused. "No." "Then let's try it." They tested his ideas on tissue samples first. Most failed, but some showed promise. A combination of human medicine and Velir technology that attacked the plague from angles no one had considered. "How did you think of this?" Darim asked, her skepticism fading. "Humans are good at improvising," Day said. "We're not the smartest or the strongest, but we're good at trying things that shouldn't work. Sometimes they do." After 2 days of non-stop work, they had something. Not a perfect cure, but a treatment that stopped the plague's progression. It bought time for the body to heal itself. "We need to test it on actual patients," Day said. "That's dangerous," Darim warned. "If it fails, we could make things worse. And if we don't try, millions die." Darim looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I will volunteer to administer it. If something goes wrong, it should be my responsibility." "We'll do it together," Day said. They went to the quarantine zones, where the sickest patients lay dying. The guards didn't want to let them enter. It was too dangerous. But Day insisted. "I've survived worse," he lied. Inside the quarantine zone, the air was thick with the smell of sickness. People lay on beds, their skin cracked and black, struggling to breathe. Many had given up hope. Day and Darim moved from bed to bed, administering the treatment. It was slow, careful work. Each patient had to be monitored. Dosages had to be adjusted. Hours passed. Then the first patient showed improvement. Her cracked skin began to heal. The black color faded to dark blue, then purple. She started breathing easier. Then another patient improved, and another. Word spread through the medical facility. More doctors came to help. They followed Day's methods, mixing human approaches with Valier medicine. The cure rate wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The plague began to retreat. 3 days later, Day collapsed from exhaustion in the medical facility. When he woke up, he was back in his palace quarters. Hana sat beside his bed, her skin bright gold. "You did it," she said softly. "You saved millions of lives." "Rim helped," Day said. His throat was dry. "And the other doctors. I just gave them some ideas." "You risked your life. You went into the quarantine zones when you didn't have to." Hana touched his hand gently. "The people are calling you the human star. They say you brought light to the darkness." Day tried to sit up but was too weak. "How's Rim?" "Sick," Hana said quietly. "She caught the plague in the quarantine zone, but your cure is working. She will live." Relief washed over him. "Good. She's brilliant. Your people should listen to her more." Over the next week, Day recovered. The plague was declared defeated. The quarantine zones were opened. Life began returning to normal in the city. Day was summoned to the throne room. The entire court was there, along with common people who had been allowed into the palace for the first time in decades. They all wanted to see the human star. Empress Yura stood before her throne. Beside her stood Admiral Sang, the highest military commander in the Valier Empire. He was old, with skin that had turned silver with age, and he commanded respect with every movement. "Kang Day," Yura said formally, "you have saved this city. Millions owe you their lives. How can I reward such service?" Day took a deep breath. This was his moment. "Give me my freedom." The court gasped. Lady Yun's skin flashed angry red, but Admiral Sang stepped forward. "The human has earned his freedom through his deeds," the Admiral said, his voice like thunder. "By our laws, anyone who saves imperial lives on this scale must be granted any reasonable request. His request is reasonable." Yura's skin went cold silver. "Admiral." "My Empress," Sang said respectfully but firmly. "The law is clear, and more than that, it is right. This human has proven his character. To hold him against his will now would dishonor us, not him." The court was silent. Everyone waited for Yura's response. The Empress looked at Day for a long moment, then at Hana, who watched with hopeful eyes. Then at the crowd of common people who had come to honor the human who had saved them. Finally, she spoke. "Admiral Sang is correct. The law is clear." Her voice was tight with emotion. "Kang Day, you have earned your freedom." Day felt his knees go weak with relief, but Yura wasn't finished. "However," she continued, "before you go, I would make you an offer. Not as an empress to a subject, but as a mother to the man who saved her daughter." The throne room was so quiet that Day could hear his own heartbeat. Everyone waited for Empress Yura to continue. "Walk with me," Yura said to Day. "Alone." The guards and advisors looked unhappy, but no one argued with the Empress. Day followed her out of the throne room and into her private gardens, the place where water flowed upward and trees grew with light for leaves. For a long time, they walked in silence. Yura seemed to be struggling with something, her skin shifting between colors too fast to track. Finally, she spoke. "Do you know why I built these gardens?" "No, Your Majesty." "After my mate died, I was lost. The Empire demanded my attention. My daughter needed me. But inside, I felt empty. So I built this place, a space where natural laws don't apply, where water flows up instead of down, where impossible things become possible." She touched a flower that sang at her presence. "It helped me remember that even when the world seems fixed and unchangeable, there is always another way." Day waited. He sensed she was building up to something important. "I have ruled this empire for 40 years," Yura continued. I have made difficult decisions. I have sacrificed much. And I have learned one terrible truth, that those with power cannot trust easily. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an agenda. I don't want anything from you, Day said quietly. I know. That is what makes you so dangerous. Yura turned to face him, her skin settling into a deep, sad blue. And also, so valuable. When I heard my daughter was attacked, when I thought she was dead, something broke inside me. Then I learned she lived, that a human stranger had saved her. A salvager with no wealth, no power, no reason to risk himself. Yet he did. Anyone would have done the same. No, Yura said firmly. Most would not. Most would have calculated the risk and decided it was too great. But you didn't calculate. You just acted. You saved her because it was right. Her voice broke slightly. You gave me back my daughter. The only thing in this universe I truly love. Day felt uncomfortable with the emotion in her voice. I'm glad I could help. And that is why I cannot let you go. Yura raised her hand as Day started to protest. Wait, hear me first. I know I promised you freedom, and I will honor that promise. But before you leave, I must tell you something. Something I have told no one else. She led him to a bench carved from crystal and sat down. Day sat beside her. There is an enemy coming, Yura said quietly. An old enemy. The same one who sent the raiders that attacked my daughter. They are called the Kesh. They ruled this sector of space long before the Velier Empire existed. We drove them out centuries ago, but they have been rebuilding in the dark spaces between stars. And now they are returning. How do you know this? Our intelligence networks. Scattered reports, ships vanishing, colonies going silent. Yura's skin darkened. The attack on Hana was a test. They wanted to see how we would respond, and they learned that our defenses, our medicine, our entire way of thinking is predictable. Day was starting to understand. But humans aren't predictable. Exactly. You think differently. You solve problems in ways we would never consider. You saved Hana with equipment we would have deemed useless. You cured a plague our best doctors could not defeat. This is why I wanted you to stay. She looked at him with ancient, tired eyes. Not as a prisoner, but as my daughter's guardian. Someone whose unpredictability would keep her safe when the Kesh return. Why didn't you just tell me this from the beginning? Because I am a fool, Yura said simply. Because I am so used to commanding, to controlling, that I forgot how to ask. I forgot that respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. Day sat back, his mind racing. He understood now. This wasn't about collecting treasures or holding him prisoner. This was about a mother terrified of losing her daughter again. I'm sorry, Yura said softly. I was wrong to keep you here against your will. You have earned your freedom. You may go, with all the honors and rewards I promised. Your ship is ready. Your course is plotted. You can leave today. But, Day asked. Yura smiled sadly. But I would ask you, as one person to another, not as empress to subject, would you consider staying, voluntarily, as Hana's guardian and friend, as an advisor to the Empire? You would have freedom to come and go as you please. You would have resources, ships, anything you need. But when my daughter is in danger, when the Empire needs your particular way of thinking, you would be here to help. Day stood and walked to the edge of the garden, looking out over the Crystal City. In the distance, he could see the lower districts where he had fought the plague. People were rebuilding, living, because of what he had done. I need time to think, he said. Of course. Take all the time you need. That evening, Day visited the Wandering Star. She sat in the palace hangar looking small and old next to the sleek Velier ships. But she was his home, his freedom. Bo's voice greeted him as he entered. Welcome back, Day. I've missed you. I've missed you too. He sat in the pilot's chair, feeling the worn leather beneath him. This felt right. This felt like home. The Empress is letting us leave, Bo said. I've already calculated the optimal route back to human space. We could depart within the hour. Day looked at the controls, the old screens, the patches he had made himself over the years. She offered me a job, guardian to the princess, advisor to the Empire. And I don't know what to do. That's unusual for you, Bo said gently. You usually know exactly what you want. I want to be free. I want to fly through space and take salvage jobs and not answer to anyone. Day ran his hand over the controls. But you care about Hana. Yeah. And I understand what Yura is afraid of. If I had someone I loved, if they were in danger, I'd do anything to protect them too. He sat in silence for a long time. Then he got up and went to find Hana. She was in her room, looking out at the stars. When she saw him, her skin brightened to happy gold. Then she saw his expression and faded to worried blue. You're leaving, she said. Maybe. I don't know yet. Day sat beside her. Your mother told me about the Kesh. I know. She told me too. Hana's skin went dark. I am scared, Day. Not for myself, but for my people, for my mother. The Kesh are powerful. If they return, you'll fight them. You'll win. Will we? Hana looked at him with those golden eyes. We are strong. We have advanced technology. But we think the same way we have thought for centuries. The Kesh know how we think. They know how we fight. But humans are different. You are unpredictable, creative. You find solutions where we see only problems. Day sighed. Your mother wants me to stay, to be your guardian. I know, and I told her she was wrong to ask. Hana touched his hand. You saved my life, Day. You saved millions in this city. You owe us nothing. If you want to leave, you should leave. I will not let my mother's fear chain you here. What do you want? Day asked. Hana was quiet for a long moment. I want you to stay, she finally said. Not because my mother commands it. Not because the Empire needs you. But because you are my friend. The first real friend I have ever had. When I am with you, I do not feel like a princess. I feel like just Hana. And that is a rare gift. She stood and walked to the window. But I want you to be free more than I want you to stay. Because that is what friendship means. Wanting the best for someone, even when it hurts you. Day felt something break inside his chest. He had been thinking of this as a choice between freedom and duty. But it wasn't. It was about choosing what kind of person he wanted to be. He found Empress Yura in her throne room. She sat alone, looking more tired than he had ever seen her. I have made my decision, Day said. Yura's skin went very still. Tell me. I'll go, Day said. Yura's skin flashed with pain. But I'll come back. The Empress looked up, confused. I don't understand. I'm not a guard or a soldier or a courtier. I'm a salvager. That's who I am. I can't give that up, even for Hana. Even for you. Day stepped closer. But I'll make you a deal. Give me my freedom. Let me go back to my work, my life. But give me a way to contact you. And when Hana needs me, when the Empire truly needs me, I'll come. Not because you command it, but because I choose to. You would do this? Yura asked. Come when called, even though you owe us nothing? I would. On one condition. Name it. Trust me. Trust that when I give my word, I keep it. Don't send ships to follow me. Don't try to control me. Just trust that when you call, I'll answer. Yura stood slowly and walked down from her throne. She studied Day's face for a long time. Why? She asked. Why would you do this? because Hana is my friend, because you're her mother, and I understand what it's like to be afraid for someone you love. And because I've learned something these past months. Day smiled slightly. Freedom isn't just about going where you want. It's about choosing who you want to be. And I choose to be someone who keeps his promises. Yura's skin shifted through a rainbow of colors. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She bowed to him, a deep, respectful bow. Thank you, Kang Day. You have taught this old empress a valuable lesson, that control and trust are not the same thing, and that sometimes the best way to keep someone close is to let them go. The next morning, Day prepared to leave. The entire court gathered to say goodbye. Admiral Song gave him a medal. Darim gave him a collection of Velir medical texts. Lady Yun surprisingly gave him a small smile and a nod of respect. Wu, the human musician, found him in the hangar. You're really leaving? I am. And they're letting you go? They are. Wu looked amazed. How did you do it? I asked, and I offered them something in return. My word. Day clasped Wu's shoulder. You should try it. Maybe the Empress would let you go too if she knew you'd come back and play for her sometimes. Wu looked thoughtful. Maybe I will. Finally, Hana came. She wore simple clothes, not her royal robes. Her skin was sad blue, but also warm gold, mixing emotions. I will miss you, she said. I'll miss you too. Day pulled out a small device. Your mother gave me this, a quantum communicator. She said it works across any distance. If you need me, just call. I'll come running. Promise? Promise. Hana hugged him tightly. Then she stepped back and smiled. Go, Day. Fly through the stars. Find your salvage. Be free. But remember us sometimes. Always. Day climbed aboard the wandering star. The engines hummed to life, old and familiar and perfect. He lifted off slowly, rising through the palace hangar and into the pink sky. Below, he could see the crystal city, the floating gardens, the palace where Empress Yura stood watching from her window, and beside her, Hana, waving. Day waved back. Then he turned the ship toward the stars and jumped to hyperspace. 6 months passed. Day took salvage jobs. He made money. He repaired his ship. He was free, and it felt wonderful. Then one day, the quantum communicator activated. Hana's face appeared, looking worried. Day, she said, I need your help. The Kesh are here. Day didn't hesitate. He set down his tools, plotted a course for Velir space, and fired up the engines. I'm on my way, he said. As the wandering star jumped to hyperspace, Day smiled. He was free. He was choosing his own path, and he was going to help his friend. That was what it meant to be human. Not the strongest, not the smartest, but always there when it mattered, always keeping promises, always doing the right thing, even when it cost something. The stars blurred past. Somewhere ahead, Hana waited. Somewhere ahead, an empire needed him, and he was coming. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to, and that made all the difference.